Good morning, Entrepreneur Kid family. How are you doing this morning? We are celebrating another milestone with our Kickstarter campaign. Yesterday, we visited our first school. It was Oak Grove Middle School in Oak Grove, Arkansas, which is around in the Paragould School District, which is where I grew up. And to celebrate, we are going to read aloud Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business. And so we'll start that in just a moment. And if you haven't seen the books yet, I have all four here. So we have Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business, Gabby Invents the Perfect Hair Bow, Sebastian Creates a Sock Company, and Jason Saves the World with Entrepreneurship, which we read last week. So stay tuned over the coming days. We'll be reading the other two books about Gabby and Sebastian. And today we are reading Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business. So while you get this preview of the book, definitely consider backing our Kickstarter. We have raised $7,191 with 90 backers. So thank you to the 90 of you who are supporting our cause. If you are watching and would like to support the cause as well, you can find us on Kickstarter. The link is in the description over here, so you can find it there. And while I read the book, also consider any questions you may have about Rachel's story or any of the other books or the entire project. So we will get started with Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business. This is a dummy book, by the way, so it's not fully printed. That is what we're doing with our Kickstarter campaign. So I took the cover off, and we will begin. Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business. Words by Erica Swallow, pictures by Zietz. Rachel Zietz is one of the most fierce athletes at her school. She plays lacrosse and can cover almost any position. She plays on 3 lacrosse teams and practices every day after school. There's nothing more she loves than tossing around the ball with her teammates. It took her a while to discover her passion for the game. She tried almost every other sport before trying lacrosse: basketball, tennis, soccer, and even flag football. Now, just so those of you just tuning in know, Rachel Zietz is actually a real kid who lives in Boca Raton, Florida, and she does play lacrosse, and you'll see how she turned that passion into a business in this book. If there's one word to describe Rachel, it's competitive. Her teammates know that she's up for any challenge. This week, Rachel's going to try something she's never done before. She wants to start a business. As you can see, little Rachel's right down here. She is at the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, which is an actual course at the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce, and as well as at chambers all across the nation. More than 100 chambers have a Young Entrepreneurs Academy. Since she was 4 years old, Rachel would go with her father to work to see what running a business is like. She would bring her briefcase and organize his office while he had important meetings and phone calls. I like her peeking out of the desk here. Super cute. Running a business always seemed like a grown-up thing to do. Rachel had never seen any kids starting companies. When she visited her father's office, she was always the only kid there. On TV, there were no kid business owners, and none of her friends were business owners either. Rachel started to believe that being a business owner was only something adults could do. We will see about that. One day, Rachel learned about a class that could teach her how to be an entrepreneur, someone who starts a business. It was for kids, and she was just old enough to participate. Woo! Rachel wasn't sure what kind of business she could start. Maybe I'm too young, she told herself. She has a brochure for the Young Entrepreneur Academy. If Rachel was going to participate, she wanted to come prepared with an idea. Every day after school, while practicing at home, she thought about what business she could build, but no ideas came to her. Maybe I'm not ready to be an entrepreneur, she said one day, throwing the ball so hard at her goal that it shot right through the net. Not again, she screeched. She had broken another goal with her powerful shot. Whew, problems, so many problems. At dinner that night, Rachel was nervous. Her entrepreneurship classes started the next day, and she still didn't have an idea. Plus, she had broken yet another lacrosse goal. She wanted to make her family proud. Here she is over here, kind of sulking away. You can see her family here. Sam, Sheila, Morgan, and Jordan. Dinner went unexpectedly well. Rachel's mom said class would be fine tomorrow. And her dad said that the goal wasn't that great from the start. Her brother and sister were too busy enjoying dessert to even notice Rachel was upset. Ice cream time. The next day, business classes were packed. Rachel sat in class, and the first speaker took the stage. The biggest question you need to answer is, what problem do you want to solve? She said. Suddenly, Rachel's idea came to her. I want to make better goals and practice equipment for lacrosse. Goals so strong they don't break. During that first week, she thought of 100 other ideas, but no idea topped her lacrosse business idea. That's right, it is about solving problems. And we saw earlier in the book that Rachel had that problem. She had just broken her own goal. I have to tell you, in the real story, she actually breaks a rebounder in her, so this is, obviously nonfiction, but I didn't think that 5-year-olds who maybe aren't familiar with lacrosse would know what a rebounder is, because I didn't even know what it is. It's this piece of equipment here, the black one, that you can toss the ball against and it comes back to you, so it's practicing tossing, like a tennis player might do with the ball. So we made it a goal so that I and others could understand what was going on. And I don't think the equipment is necessarily the key point here. So she's just decided that she wants to start a lacrosse equipment company and make better goals in rebounders. Weeks went by, and Rachel learned the ins and outs of business. She designed her products, looked for a factory to make them, chose a good price for her goods, spoke in front of the entire class, and wrote a business plan that explained how people would find out about her company. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. Rachel was nervous, but during her first class competition, she finally realized that starting a business was for her. Everyone pitched their business ideas to grown-up business owners. When the top winner was chosen, drum roll, it was Rachel! And on the final day of class 2, she gained a lot of confidence she had been missing. Everyone pitched for the chance to win funds to help them start their businesses. The top winner was announced, another drum roll, and it was Rachel. Here you see her at the chamber winning her award for the top business idea. It turns out Rachel knew a lot about business. She felt proud of her accomplishments. I can do this, she exclaimed. Her parents and mentors had believed in her, but she hadn't done the same. It even started to feel like the whole world believed in her. And as you can see on this spread, we've pulled together some of her top accomplishments and placements in media that Rachel has gotten. She was on Shark Tank, for example. She pitched there. And she has a partnership with her childhood lacrosse idol, Casey Powell. We have some headlines from South Florida Business Journal, Time magazine, where she was voted one of the most influential teens of 2016. She was in the New York Times with her family on raising the next generation of entrepreneurs, and USA Today here. Nice work to Lee Zung on creating this layout. I really like this one. It makes me feel like Memory lane. Rachel started her business and placed the first product order. Her lacrosse equipment was so popular that she had to hire more people to help her run the business. So you can see she actually has a very large warehouse in Florida where she lives. So we got a little bit of that, and we have some people delivering. Today, Rachel even works with her favorite professional lacrosse player, Casey Powell, who she watched on TV when she was younger. They designed a special line of equipment that's now available in huge stores across the country. She's currently distributed in Dick's Sporting Goods. So that's a very large accomplishment. Since those days back in her father's office, Rachel knew she wanted to start a business when she got older, but she didn't know she could start one while she was a kid. Rachel now tells kids everywhere that anything is possible if you believe in yourself. Now it's your turn. What problems do you want to solve in the world? So all of the Entrepreneur Kid books actually end with that. And with that, the end. And just so you can recall, this is a nonfiction story about Rachel Zietz, the founder and CEO of Gladiator Lacrosse, which you can find a link to her Facebook page in this description. So I'll show you some quick pictures. This is Rachel playing lacrosse. She has her Casey Powell line with her, the signature edition with the rebounder and the goal here. And this is a photo of her family taken by Dan on our team, who's also my fiance, when we visited to do the final video interviews with her family. So in every book, we have an author's note that describes kind of more of the details of her bio and how the business was started from a more detail-oriented perspective, because we didn't think that the young readers in our demographic of 5 to 8 years old would want to necessarily see every single detail. You might have noticed, for example, none of the books include the business names of these companies because we thought that was an additional detail, although it's included, for example, in the illustrations. So you can see, you can see here, Gladiator Cross is there, and then the actual branding that's used on the box is a little more high level, not all the details on the box, but those details are in the illustrations, but not necessarily in the words. So that's where we capture that, the nonfiction aspect. So so feel free to ask questions if you have some, and I'm also going to, I know I've been receiving some questions already, and I just noticed something I need to edit in here. Sorry, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go back and circle that. I saw so these, by the way, what we just read together is a proof that was sent from the illustrator, Lee, and she sends these every time, or we basically get together and we go over the most recent illustrations, and this is an almost finished version, so it's not quite totally finalized. Now, what I love about this particular story, and something I've heard, something people have asked me about, is what are the lessons I'm trying to showcase in this story. Rachel turns her passion into business as opposed to the other stories. So last week I read to you Jason Saves the Environment with Entrepreneurship, and there are some very distinct lessons there that are different from here. So one big part of this story that you might have noticed is that she didn't originally think that she was going to be a business owner so young. She took the course, and even as she starts to take the course, she's still having a bit of a confidence issue in, I'm not sure I can come up with an idea, maybe I'm too young. And these are real problems that Rachel described to me in our interviews. So I wanted that to come across, because not all kids are very confident from the outset when they're thinking about tackling a problem or starting something new or getting outside their comfort zone. So the biggest lesson I would say that you find in Rachel Turns Her Passion into a Business is that first one, is that you can overcome those confidence issues that exist, and that you can learn entrepreneurship. So that's the second one. You might have noticed she takes a course. She isn't, unlike Jason, in Jason Saves the Environment with Entrepreneurship, which we read last week, Jason has, since he was a very young kid, has been trying out different ideas. He started a comic book business, and then he started a t-shirt business, and now He owns Iritron. With Rachel, she took a business class and went through that ideation through as a part of her education in the class. So I think it's a wonderful story because we often hear that question, is entrepreneurship in the DNA, or are you born to be an entrepreneur? And the answer, frankly, is no. Entrepreneurial skills can be learned, and Rachel's book is one that showcases how that happens. And then finally, this isn't necessarily a lesson, but one of the things that I wanted to do with Rachel's story was to encourage young girls especially to follow their passions. In the case of Rachel, she loves lacrosse, and she luckily starts to ideate around her real passions in that business class, because so often, even as adults, we can get into these classes or we get into, some sort of like straight line path to doing something, and we might fool ourselves and say, okay, I need to pick a market that's huge. I need to pick something that is popular right now. Maybe it's being talked about in the news. That's what I need to do. But I love that she went with something she actually knows about and she's passionate about, because in the end, entrepreneurship is about solving problems. And if you're going to spend your life solving a problem, or any amount of time at all, even if it's just a few years, you're going to want to enjoy that problem. You don't want to stick yourself into something you don't like. So that, my friends, is our celebration of our first school visit. If you didn't see, you can check out our Facebook page and learn a little bit about that. We went to Oak Grove Middle School, and we spoke to 200 fifth graders about how they can get started now with their own passions. I loved it because we invited a number of the kids on stage to talk about their passions, and also to talk about how they're already starting to practice them. And by the way, I heard so many kids say that math was their passion, which was really awesome to hear. Very, very hopeful future here with the fifth graders at Oak Grove. So with that is our live stream for today. And stay tuned, because Li Zhang, the illustrator, is going to walk you through how she designs Rachel's books, what she thought of. I just randomly flipped to this page, for example. It's one of the pages that had a lot of redos. Actually, I think we did 4 or 5 redos on this page to encompass this trail she went on to start her business. It used to be divided up into grids, and I love this design she's ended on. So, you tune in for that next week, and we will be sending out a Kickstarter update on Kickstarter about this reading. We love that you all are supporting our project. We really appreciate it. So keep asking questions, keep tuning in to our live stream readings and illustration behind the scenes, and we'll see you later. And if you haven't already, back us on Kickstarter. You can find the link in this description. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.